Hello, this is First Fire, Not Assault Move. Welcome back to the 58th episode in the War in the East series. Let's get a situation report. Right off the bat, it is now the second week of November. The last episode concluded with the second week of October. It's been a month of game time, 4 consecutive weeks of mud. There was no attacks from either side. The Soviets did some moves, some shenanigans, which I'll show you, and the Germans did a little bit of movement, not much at all. Mostly it was airdrops to resupply our troops, and some rail movement and chasing off partisans where we could. Let's take a look at the front, a grand view. We covered this a little bit last episode. Let's recap. Here we have Leningrad, and from Leningrad south, it used to be Smolensk, but look how much east the front has been pushed. So from Leningrad south, we have that bulge in the line still. Here and there, we've made attacks, localized attacks, where we had favorable combat resolution, and we were able to push the Soviets back incrementally, not very much. What we're thinking about for future operations is to take Leningrad, and more than likely it's going to be from north to south. We've taken advantage where the Soviets have stripped their forces along the Leningrad front here, and where they apply them elsewhere on the front, which, even though we didn't have the greatest combat power, we had some advantageous attacks, and we crept forward to the gates of Leningrad right now. So that's pretty good. Looking further, we had that breakout where we took Ivanovo and Yaroslavl. Got to get used to saying these far eastern cities, which I'm not accustomed to discussing. So we took those two, and you can look here, we were able, during the mud turns, to fill in the gaps in the line. Thankfully, none of our very exposed panzer divisions were surrounded, so we were able to fill that in. Now we are poised with snow that has set in. The ground is frozen to continue the pocket destruction. And elsewhere, where do we apply the Panzer Corps from Army Group South? That is something we still have to think about. The more we talk about eastern cities, I'm inclined to start looking at some of them as potential objectives, strategic objectives. But we'll qualify that, and this will be the qualifier for all future operations, is still to destroy the Soviet field army wherever possible. That has put us in this position now. It was very advantageous. The amount of Soviet formations we destroyed allowed us to conduct those operations, those grand encirclements that we saw around Voronezh and Moscow and several other medium-sized pockets. So we can't forget about destroying the Soviet field army. Nonetheless, we need to, I don't know, maybe make an effort towards 290. We're at 232. We talked about this a while back. Almost every single city hex would have to be occupied to get to 290. Maybe not everyone, but nearly everyone. Nonetheless, let's try and go for maybe Stalingrad as a potential option. That would mean splitting up these Panzer Corps, the one group to the north, one group to the south, and start it off with an encirclement. We'll think about that. Potentially there's Saratov here. Again, cities I'm not used to saying. Penza, Saransk. What else? Murom, Vladimir, Gorky, and Arzamas. All eastern lying cities, maybe as future objectives for the Germans. What we want to do now is focus on destroying the Soviets in and around Moscow. The pocket destruction has to be priority number one. With that in mind, I'm thinking of committing a Panzer Corps. They've been resting for about a month and a half now. They've definitely been able to refit, get all the new equipment, get resupplied, get trained up with the replacements. Now it's time to spring into action and help clear out Moscow, because getting Moscow secure and all these Soviets destroyed frees up quite a bit of our own forces to apply for future operations. Some short-range objectives: I'd like to get rid of this bulge, take Vladimir, and straighten the front out, again condensing our own forces, getting greater combat power. Maybe take Murom, Murom, it's kind of odd to say. Take Murom, and also start to make some shaping some attacks here for shaping ops, and take this city here. I'll figure it out how to pronounce that. And just in general, start the push north and west and east to start to fragment the Soviets' front here in attempts to take Leningrad eventually. Maybe not during the 1943-44 winter offensive, but getting in position for 44. On that note, I don't believe the 43-44 winter offensive is going to be as audacious and grand and successful uh, as the 42-43 winter offensive was. We saw all those encirclements taking finally Zaporozhye, Dnipropetrovsk, pushing to Stalino, getting up to Rostov. All those things happened, along with some other successes to the north. What will we do this winter? It's kind of up in the air right now. First, we have to reposition, and we have to destroy the pocket, and then we'll start thinking a little more concretely. And that may take us all the way to blizzard time in January, late December, January, before we're ready, really full swing into the winter offensive. But shaping ops, we gotta straighten this line out, start to fragment front here, destroy the pocket, and realign our Panzer Corps. We may have to go overland, suck it up and burn fuel just to get back into position. We'll try to get on rails when we can. It'll be a couple weeks time. We'll think this over though. Do we want to do that? Do we want to take Stalingrad? That would, well, yeah, it's going to lengthen our line. Or do we want to go south and take Maikop finally? We definitely have the forces to do that. That would free up our Romanians and they could cover a lot of ground here. Really would extend our line. It's not going to give us many victory points. It would take some industry away, and we could take my cop. Yeah, just thinking out loud. You can see I'm not really sure what to do. You know, it's like, oh my God, we've taken Moscow. We've destroyed an immense amount of Soviet formations up until now. What's next? What can be the next grand strategic objective? Well, Leningrad, definitely Leningrad. And some of these low-hanging fruit cities that are lying to the east. But let's get on it. Let's get on it. I am ready to start moves and attacks. And we'll talk further once I start doing moves and attacks and getting an idea of what's going on and see how it shapes up. And let's hopefully, at least cut this in half for this first week of snow where we can attack. All right, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Moves and attacks complete. Let's get a situation report. We'll zoom out and talk about what we did this turn. From Leningrad all the way down to the salient with Ivanovo and Yaroslavl, we did a few attacks here and there where we could have favorable combat resolutions. As I started to do my attacks, I realized, there's large stretches along the front where attacking is going to gain nothing except lose manpower, material, supply. It's just unnecessary right now. I've come to the conclusion that the 43-44 winter offensive is going to be largely cleanup. This turn, for instance, was cleaning up after 4 weeks of mud here and there with the Soviets. I forgot to show you where they did some shenanigans and just getting our forces back into command and control where we weren't able to move I didn't want to move our forces to burn any supply and fuel. So now we're back in command and control. It's just going to be a consolidation of gains from 1943 and some shaping operations for 1944 spring summer offensive. But we're going to capitalize on every opportunity that presents itself, and we will definitely Gryphon on, we will attack. We will attack for sure. But along large stretches of the front, we will not. It's going to be very focalized. We continue to attack and condensed the Moscow pocket. We had some considerable gains, better than the last several turns when we were actually attacking against the forces that are encircled. I'll show you that in a moment. And we decided nothing is to be gained further, any further advances out of this salient. Actually, we're going to start trying to extract our Panzer Corps. There's two Panzer Corps in here with a number of Panzer divisions. We want to get them out of there. They are way out of position, and there is no future ops planned anywhere in this region. We're really going to bunch up our Panzer Corps in an effort to take Leningrad and straighten out the front. We're going to claim the north in the 43-44 winter, or at least start that effort, and then finish it off in 44. We could have reached out and tried to touch some of these cities by applying some of the Panzer Corps here in the south. Just not enough supporting infantry to make the gains achievable, or at least favorable. It would have been a slog and not enough Panzer Corps in supporting infantry to complete some encirclements in here. So all the effort is going to be in the north, like Moscow north, most likely. We really have to destroy the Soviets in the Moscow pocket. That's going to free up so many of our forces, and it's going to make our front much healthier and much more give us a lot more options moving forward for offensive operations. So that's what it looks like, big picture. Let's zoom down. Let's take a look at Moscow. Yes, look at that. We squished the forces even further. We made a whole bunch of attacks. You can see here. Let's look at the losses. We'll go with losses here first. Ground losses almost 500,000. Almost 1,000, excuse me, AFEs this turn alone. 52,000 tanks, well past our goal. 52,000 and 15 million Soviet losses. So 500 more thousand here. Destroyed units. Scroll up. 55 Soviet formations are destroyed. Well, actually, I did a count. There was 8 support elements that were not represented on the map. So 40 plus Soviet formations out of the order of battle. Speaking of the order of battle, what's that looking like? We're looking strong here, even though we did a bunch, not a bunch, but we did some violent attacks against the forces in the Moscow pocket and here and there along the front. So we want to be mindful of our own losses. And the Soviets down to almost under 4 million. That's amazing. Still 15,000 tanks. Where are they all at? Maybe they are still waiting to be fielded because there's not that many Soviet tank formations as there used to be. So a lot of attacks in and around the Moscow pocket. Started to do some shaping attacks to straighten out this front, and it was not advantageous at all. It was kind of even odds and not favorable combat resolutions. We'll square this away later. We want to get these panzer divisions out of this salient and have the infantry take over, at least holding these cities. This could be something, maybe some offensive operations down the road in this region, but not right now. Where we want to start attacking, we prepped that already with some pretty hard attacks with the infantry here. This is where we want to achieve our breakout. Our axis of advance will be somewhere within this length of the front. We're going to determine that when we get our 2 Panzer Corps into action. These are 2 of the Panzer Corps that were resting and refitting here. It is the 24th, commanded by Bulk, and the 50... What do we have here? 57th. We'll spring into action in the next week or two. We'll get them up to the front, and hopefully by then we'll be able to start freeing up some of our own infantry forces so we can get more of a concentration of our own forces for future operations. This poor Panzer Grenadier Division had been sitting in the mud, out of command and control, and its supply is horrible. It was 5. We did an airdrop, cut it up to 15. It's going to be assigned to the 56th Panzer Corps and help out with pocket destruction. We don't want to commit any more of our armored forces into this salient. Speaking of armored forces, well, let's look at this front. Really, when we looked at the front, really from Moscow south, no attacks with our infantry, just holding the line, getting in command and control, and building up our own supply. Speaking of panzer divisions, we'll get back to that. What we did is we broke up the panzer grouping here. A very strong panzer corps is going north. Yes, the 39th Panzer Corps, now reassigned to 3rd Panzer Army, is going to go north and take to participate in the offensive operations to the north of Moscow. Operation Leningrad, maybe we'll call that. And the other Panzer Corps, we extracted, we got them on the rail lines. Going to take another turn to just accumulate supply. They are now on Axis rail. Where will we rail them? We may indeed, once, we're really going to crush our rail capacity, moving the 39th north, we may indeed send another Panzer Corps north and just have two Panzer Corps here just for quick reaction force should anything happen here at all, and maybe, I don't know. I don't know what we'll do with them. Really, there's nothing uh, operationally, strategically, I want to do right now, really south of Tambov. Not at this moment. We want to commit all our resources and our forces and our efforts to take Leningrad and straighten the front here to here. And, if we take Leningrad, it frees up the Finns. And it still gets us some victory locations. One here, a couple here, and Leningrad, obviously. And then we can think about other future operations. Also, we assigned, I forgot to mention, yes, the 1st SS Panzer Division, now a full-fledged Panzer Division. LAH is now with 24th Panzer, and we also had a Luftwaffe, Fallschirmjäger, right here. Fallschirmjäger, 2nd Fallschirmjäger Division, is going to be committed to this front and maybe take part in operations to attack north. And also, we received some reinforcements to a Panzer Division and a motorized brigade. Those are going to provide a maneuver element for some attacks in and around Leningrad to exploit some of the weaker Soviet forces defending. Yes, maybe it could be the seed for larger armored formations and get maybe an encirclement here. Something to think about. And, I forgot to move this 433rd Reserve Division. You know what? They're going to get on the rail. I'm going to break them down. We need more forces to hold cities. We're taking more and more cities, so I'm going to break them down in this Reserve Division into regiments to chase partisans and or provide garrison troops. We are ready for next turn. Let's zoom in for the Soviets' turn. We'll see what they do during their turn, their winter turn. Maybe some localized attacks. Let me just, speaking of the Soviets' turn, I forgot again. In this area, the Soviets at one point had snuck in during the mud, during 4 turns of mud, a sizable force. And this poor, 2nd of the 463rd Reserve Division was encircled. We managed to at least get them out of harm's way here. Managed to force a retreat. Was it a retreat or a rout? We routed 2 of them, yes. So now we are back. We are back in adjacent to our poor regiment here. But they had snaked around here, and I had to pull forces out just to block them moving around in the mud. Ugh, so annoying. Anyways, So the Soviets might do some more of that stuff. And this salient, I thought it was a good idea to take these two cities. I think it is in the long run, definitely, to take these cities. Always great to take cities, but now all these forces are kind of out of position. Maybe a tidier front here, but that's all right. That's all right. We can, once these forces are freed up in and around Moscow, we'll 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 make this into something that is beneficial for us. All right, next turn. I wonder if the Soviets will be more active during this turn. They haven't been active for months and months. Very limited moves. Sometimes no attacks whatsoever, but a whole lot of bombs. If it's that way again, I will just cut the content and we'll skip to German's lost screen. Save on some footage. Are they trying to condense our salient or cut it off? Interesting. Maybe it's just the impression, but the Soviets seem more aggressive during the snow turns and blizzard turns. Oh, I forgot to cover the Romanians. It's status quo, hanging out. Wow. Okay, we'll cut to the Germans. Lost the screen. Let's see a bit. All right, bombing runs have completed. Here is the losses screen. Under 20,000. That's great. What was it? One attack? I think there was just one attack made against the Germans. All this standard stuff for the Soviets. Let's look at blizzard already. Ooh, it's an early winter. Early vicious winter. Only the third week of November and there's already blizzard conditions in the north. That really affects us. We're almost entirely in the north now, I believe. Yeah. Let's check that out. Yeah, we are. Barely see the black dots here. Yeah, those are blizzard conditions, and then move a little further to the west. Well, the north covers quite a bit, actually. Here you see the lighter flakes. All right, where we will be attacking, it is now going to be even more arduous to include the Moscow pocket. Yes, blizzard conditions in and around the Moscow pocket. Soviets attacked right here, pushed back one of our regiments. Other than that, I don't see any other shenanigans at the moment. Are they starting to pull back? Maybe. Oh yeah, they are here. They're pulling back here. And I'll just holding pat right now along the front. Nothing going on here. Pulling back a little bit? That's odd. Broke contact, I don't know why. And we had a contiguous front really from Tambov all the way to Rostov, so no Soviet shenanigans sneaking in. All right. This next turn will be all about pocket destruction. Destroy the Soviets in here. Ideally, what I was trying to do is cut off the bulk of what's left from Moscow so they're not going to get supply any longer and they'll be easier to destroy. Oh, we'll cut this down at least in half again. I'm pretty confident now with the combat power we have available and what's left with this. Why? Oh, why? They should not have given up that. That would have prolonged, it would have delayed the Germans even longer, caused the Germans greater losses. Can get across the river now. and attack this little neck of land. And we'll still try to. I can't extract. See, our Panzer divisions and Panzer Grenadier divisions are actually holding the front, which is not ideal. Not. What is this? Where did? All right. I know where he's going. That about covers it. Again, more shaping ops from Leningrad down to Kalinin. Nothing to be said for the salient destruction of the pocket. And we now have Panzer Corps ready to be repositioned along the front for future operations. And we'll chase off these pesky partisans, which is going to be harder to do now that it's a blizzard. It's good to be back, having a battle rhythm now. Once, even though it's a mud turn, it's consecutive mud turns. It's a little demoralizing. So I wasn't as prompt in getting content up during those mud turns, but now we're back at it. Excuse me, and we'll have some good offensive operations. And finally, we'll raise the German flag over Moscow. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is First Fire and Non-Assault Move Out.